So today's the day. We finally get to try out the weapons in the high caliber pack here in early access, and as always, a huge thank you to Expansive Worlds for the opportunity. We're going to be messing with these things all weekend, including in just about an hour live here on YouTube. So two of these weapons are semi-automatic, and I'm not sure if we've seen them fire just at their maximum rate, so I'm just going to spam click and see what these things are capable of. Oh my, accuracy maybe not. That's nuts from the 300. I don't think we could even try to control that, but then with the 10 gauge, gotta go ahead and load slugs in here. We'll see what we can do with 4 rounds. Little more controllable maybe, but still really darn fast. And this is literally the first time I've handled any of these things. So just because, we'll also go ahead and fire the 45-70 once, mostly for the sound. Pretty darn satisfying. So we're gonna take these things out. We're going to test them out on some live game, and I think just about everything is in a little bit of trouble. And there's really only one place we can start this video, and that is by trying to take out as many Cape Buffalo as we can with the AR300. They're not the biggest species in the game, but for my money, they are the toughest. So let's just see what we can do here. Gonna try to, oh boy, we hit that one in 10. We're gonna try to go across as many of these as we can, and just sort of see what we end up with. I think, looks like we got all 3. Not bad at all. And the fact that this thing can fire so fast that you'll never have an issue of not being able to get a round off in time. I don't think it's ever going to happen that you're back on target before the gun is ready to fire again. That is really impressive. And we are, by the way, going to take it moose grinding for just a little bit to kind of see how well it's going to do for that. So yeah, even though we accidentally hit this one in the jaw, still got the follow-up, which literally double lung, liver, and stomach. That's why he went down so quickly. It's crazy to be able to fire at that type of rate what was already, in my opinion, the best round in the entire game. So this one, right lung shot, let's see the quick kill on that. 80% single lung at 141 meters. Not a bad deal. And then this one, I think we hit twice, left lung, and then a flesh hit. Now that time we didn't hit the lung. Lower shots on Cape Buffalo, typically there's either a penetration bug or maybe it's designed that way. Sometimes they don't punch through, so it looks like you'll still want to aim high, like at least above the center line to ensure you get into the lungs. In that case, 83% that flesh hit didn't help that much. But that's what I wanted to see on Cape Buffalo. Are you able to just wipe out a whole bunch of them? And I think without the jaw shot, we might even had a chance to get 4. Now, just as an aside quickly, I do want to talk about revolvers and the double action capabilities. So if we basically try to spam fire this thing, you can now fire revolvers while aiming down sights as double action. You used to only be able to do that if you were hip firing, which by the way, you still can do. But it's actually slower. There's only certain revolvers this affects. I think it's both 454s and all 3 of the 410/45 pistols. And we only hit that one 3 times, but you got to see the fire rate. And obviously you can still fire them single action. If you take your time, more accurate shots, you pull the hammer back, that is all good. And you maybe saw it there. The speed loader, much faster to reload. That's not an item, it's just the revolvers that have the speed loaders. I think it's everything maybe other than the Rolston, the cavalry. They just now can be reloaded with the speed loader. You don't have to buy anything, you don't have to change anything, it's just automatic. So going all the way back to Christmas Eve 2023, on my wish list, I basically wanted something like this AR300 for moose grinding. And of course, we didn't have a great one moose then, and we weren't doing very well with the grind. I thought it could help so much, and we're about to find out just how impactful it could be. So, gonna try to get both of these bulls that are here. They're kind of moving around a little bit. I mean, that's insane. It's the recoil more than anything. It's one thing to be able to fire that fast, multiple 300 rounds, but more so than the fire rate, it's how quickly you can get back on target. If there were, I don't think we made a great shot on the second one. If there were 3 bulls there, I think we could probably get all 3. I wonder if we can find a spot that there are going to be 3 bulls. I don't have many left that were consistently spawning that many, but just being able to quickly transfer. I mean, moose flee fast. Being able to quickly transfer, get your crosshairs on the next one and get that shot off. And we know how fast it can fire. I think Not that there was going to be much doubt, but it's going to be the weapon of choice for probably any grind, even, you know, maybe something that it's not ethical for. Power-wise, like, it fires the same exact ammunition as the 300 Canning Magnum, so it's going to bring them down about the same speed. If there's only 1 or 2 bulls, and maybe had we made a better shot initially on the second one, maybe you can just hit him with 2 rounds that quick, though, and get him down a little bit more quickly. Oh, what? That was a complete fluke, too. We, like, caught him on the side of the nose, and it just stopped the round. Otherwise, wow, stomach left lung as he was running away, and we got the lumbar vertebrae in there, too. So even that ended up being 36% quick kill. We'll see if we can find a spot that's got 3 bulls just to try it. I don't want to shoot a bunch of cows because we actually had a good thing going here, and if we ever come back, I don't want to mess it up. I'm trying to think of where that could even happen. As we're searching, that's actually a decent level 4 wild boar. Just for fun, let's see what we can do with the 4570 handgun. Now, I've got the Argus scope on it. It can indeed take the Argus scope, and I actually don't know where we hit it. It's going down. I'm not sure if that's going to be a lung shot or exactly where. My one guess would maybe be liver. But let's see what we actually got for that. I mean, if there's another one just going to run across, that's a little more like what I thought was going to happen. So I think that first shot, slow moving around on a 4570, probably was not quite as good. A little bit of a tough angle there. Let's go with the open sights. I actually don't know what they look like. Actually, not bad. So, got a little more hunting pressure here than I wanted to, but let's go ahead and review the performance there. So, yeah, that just wasn't a good shot at all the first time. Second shot, double lung, no big deal, straight through at 21 meters. This, I think, was that max estimate 4. Can see the tusks on him. Yeah, just too far back. Maybe not the best weapon for moving animals because, same as the 4570 lever action, it's just a slow moving round, you gotta lead them more, and that can be tough to do. When we got the shot right though, double lung ends it up at about 50 meters. I'll be curious to test it when we get specifically to it later on. Longer range, obviously standing still targets is going to be the primary thing, just to kind of see what it does. Now as for moose, the best I can kind of find is 2 in one spot and then a third one across the way. So we'll maybe see what we can manage with the 300 doing that. So we're going to go ahead and get up in the tripod. We'll try to get the 2 first, and then maybe if we can get on target, we can try to get the third one. So I'll wait till he actually goes back to kind of standing normally. Should only take a second. That's 2. Wow, how far over here was it? Okay, I just went past him. Oh, that last shot was just not it. We actually got him in the vitals, though. Who needs 5 rounds? 4 would have been enough. Not a bad deal. I wish we could have had all 3 standing side by side, but I think that does pretty well demonstrate the point, just how much better that's going to be. And again, it really is the recoil that makes the difference. So we kind of already know this thing's going to be insane for black bear, and we will take it over to Silver Ridge Peaks. I'm going to do a guide kind of talking about how to get your bears into the daylight drink zones. There's a new drink time for black bears, 4 to 8. That will probably be tomorrow. We'll actually test the 300 on them. Safe to say, though, if it does that well on moose, it's going to do really well on bears. Curious, too, do we heart shot the second one? The big 4 there only went a couple of meters. It had lung and heart through the shoulder blade and everything. Not a bad deal, little 217. As for the first one, just a right lung shot, pretty much as expected. 183 meters away, still getting about 60% quick kill. And then this third one's the real interesting part of this. How did this one play out? Stomach liver? Just barely snuck that shot in there as he was running away. Second shot just got him in the pelvis. Maybe helped to bring it down a little bit more quickly, but 3 moose, basically in 4 rounds, not a bad deal. And I'd like to just sit here and shoot the 300 all day and go after a bunch of other stuff, but like I said, we'll be using it plenty more, including in just a little bit on stream. We have 2 more weapons to put through their paces still. So I want to mess with the 4570 pistol a little bit, and I decided to go after water buffalo. They, of course, are the biggest animal in the game, and I want to see what we can do broadside with this round around 150 meters. I would have gotten to 100, but he was obviously starting to spook, so we're going to watch and see if he starts to go down. We expect him to run a decent distance, The reason I'm not testing this on Cape Buffalo, for one, we know that penetration bug exists. It does not with the water buffalo, and also it's just something a little bit different to do. And from here I can already see vital blood, so that did punch into a lung, and it finally did just go down. So it's going to be a lengthy track. This isn't something I'd be routinely hunting a water buffalo with, but the whole idea is, a weapon like this, you maybe want it in a loadout where you're primarily hunting like small game. You've got a couple of shotguns and a 22 or something like that, and maybe there is a large species on that map that you want to at least have coverage for in case you find a diamond or rare. At least in the case of water buffalo, we know it's going to be capable, but we'll see just how well that round performs. So that was 123 meters. We're into the lung, I would say, pretty decently. It's not as if there's a risk of not getting through the lung there. That's almost through like to the backside of that lung. So let's maybe try at 200 meters. I'm looking at this too. Could we get a frontal heart shot? Maybe. I bet it wouldn't be consistent, but I think it's probably doable. So at 200 meters, got a level 7 pretty broadside here. We just went from like 230 to 200. I think we were actually spotting through it. What we'll do is respot that. That says 200 to 210. So we'll see. 04 200. Let him lift his head just to make sure we get as favorable an angle as possible. Try to stick it right in the crease. Looked like it hit where we wanted. Guess we'll find out how it performs. Pretty lengthy track, I will definitely say that much. But again, really no problem punching through to a lung at a 201 meter shot. So now I have to try it. Can we get a frontal heart shot on a water buffalo with the 4570 handgun? And we'll probably go to maybe 100, whatever we can get to reasonably. See if we can do it. So not really the plan, but we're going to get a chance around 50 meters, kind of just because of the way this guy's standing and the way the hill is. So we're going to 0450. Best case really is to alert him. So I'm going to just move around a little bit, try to get him to stand there and look at us, because we need him to, for one, just turn around, but then hopefully stand looking directly at us. And let's see, I'm afraid he's going to flee, so we're going to hurry up. We got that. Not bad. So you gotta be, I think, kind of high in the heart, because the heart sort of slants forward towards the top. There's a little more opportunity if you have a gun that's barely going to reach the heart towards the top than towards the bottom. That was 40 meters. Actually pretty much center punched the heart with plenty of room to spare. That may be the most impressive thing we've seen thus far. Alright, not bad. So I don't think there's too much point in just shooting the water buffalo over and over again. I do want to take it though to maps where it maybe makes more sense, because I don't think you'd be using it for water buffalo, quite frankly. I just wanted to see what it truly is capable of. Let's try something that I think it actually might get used on more frequently. In my opinion anyway, outside of like novel uses where you just want to use the 4570 pistol, I think the most common scenario is going to be on a map like Reventuly Coast, where maybe you've got a tent, a ground blind, some decoys, a shotgun, and you just don't have room for a normal size rifle. The 4570 for whitetail you may encounter, or brown bear moose. That's where it's going to really shine. So 200 meters, whitetail buck, going nowhere, which is what we would expect considering what we saw on the wild boar earlier. Of course, they are class 5 now. Whitetail still a class 4. But this is where I think it can actually be really, really useful. If you are someone who waterfowl hunts a lot, or if you're just gonna try it out sometime, the 4570 pistol weighs 1 unit. Like, it takes up next to nothing. I think that's his primary niche. And we're gonna try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, kind of quite literally. We do have the 10 gauge. We're gonna try to make use of it here on Reventuly Coast as we run along, because I do want to shoot a brown bear and stuff with the 4570 too. Now, a couple of quick things to note with the 10 gauge while we're coming up here. You cannot use the old 10 gauge ammo. So we have the brass bird shot. Gotta load it in the right thing. Doesn't work. Brass slugs. Doesn't work. The plastic buckshot bird shotted slugs. Those can be loaded. So just something to note, you do have to buy the other ammunition to be able to use it. By the way, we did hit the spinal cord, so maybe we want to test that again. But as far as the 10 gauge, also can take the Meridian scope. So pretty much nothing to keep it from being the best shotgun in the game. So before we do go after any kind of birds or other species, I do want to confirm that that wasn't a fluke with the spinal cord, so we'll stay way low of that. I also don't want to hit the heart, I guess. Maybe that was the reason it insta-dropped, but it is not going far whatsoever. Over 200 meters away, definitely gonna be 100% quick kill. Maybe ran like, I don't know, 20 meters? Not a bad deal for just a little sidearm that has some pretty decent range too. Now, I don't really like the shoot stuff that's just standing in place, but I have zero intention of using the buckshot. I just don't really care for buckshot, but I want to see what he can do. There's your answer. It is 4 to 7, so obviously ethical for pretty much anything from deer up to even alligators. Not terrible performance, obviously not going to get a bunch of penetration out of it, but it's literally something I never use and really don't like to use. Just a little bit of an opportunity there. And as for the bigger buck that we shot with the 45-70 about 200 meters away, that was single lung. Worth pointing out, that's crazy too. It was a big angle, but I actually thought it would still get to double lung. So clearly double lung at that range, if you get one that's broadside, it will insta-drop it, because that was 100% quick kill, and it probably wasn't even close. So now, we've gotten our kind of baseline testing out of the way. Let's go and see. We'll get the bird shot loaded back into the 10 gauge. See what we can do for birds. So this is not the exact setup I wanted, but frankly, nothing else is cooperating. The thing that I'm actually most excited for with the 10 gauge is the fact that it is a semi-automatic shotgun, but it's got the 4-round capacity. So compared to the 20 gauge, for instance, that's also semi-automatic, it's got that one additional round. Now, I'm kind of surprised because we hit all 3 of those. That one is going to go really far. The other two, pretty decent performance. This one, I think, insta-drop with the right lung shot. Second one, I don't know, flew about 50 meters maybe from the impact. The third one, though, I would have thought 10 gauge bird shot would actually do better than that. Now, capercaillie are tough birds. There's an ochre plumage type, by the way. Only one pellet hit that one at 21 meters. Curious, then. Because that was 95% quick kill. What the heck happened on the other one? Because how do you get worse than one pellet? It actually, I don't know. It's facing this way, so it makes me think it actually started to fly back towards us. That's the bright variant. Singular pellet, about the same, like, location. 0% quick kill. I actually have no idea why that would be. It was 42 meters away. I guess it was a little further than I thought. So it had to have just been that. Now, in the meantime, I do want to test the 45-70 on a moose. And we saw earlier, we can heart shot a water buffalo. Obviously, we can heart shot a moose. That's not going to be the point of this. I want to see, I guess, well, it might be able to get double lung, but I'm assuming single lung. I want to see broadside kind of how it performs. So, gonna need him to cooperate, because I'll give it the chance, at least if we can get it perfectly broadside, to get double lung. That might not have been perfectly broadside, but more so than he was. So let's just kind of see. I think it'll get a lung, probably, you know, no big deal. Starting to go down. And I would say it performs kind of like your average 4 to 8 weapon. Low bleed rate, I don't know how far he ran exactly. I mean, we can pretty much just mark where it was at. About 170 meters, I think that's going to be 0 quick kill, and it is. Single lung shot, doesn't look like it was even close to double lung as he was turning there. But more than serviceable to get the job done as like your just one big game last resort on a bird hunt or something like that. More than capable of taking down a moose. So I suppose we'll try to get a brown bear real quick. We'll even just make it brown bear drink time for the sake of it. So what is basically going to be our last shot of the day. Going to try to get to 200 meters just to really test the performance. That'll work. And by the way, I've customized my night vision binoculars. I'm hoping that makes it easier to not accidentally blind myself in the daylight. We'll see if having those different custom options do anything there. So that's right behind the shoulder at about 200. And we're just going to see how quickly he starts to drop. Not bad. Comparable to the moose, I would say. So I think we can safely assume 0% quick kill. And that is indeed the case. But pretty much the same as the moose. It's not like you're at risk of not getting into a lung. That went almost like center line along the spine there, through that right lung. So I think it's going to be pretty good at filling that niche. And I was, by the way, going to take the 10 gauge with slugs to Virunga and try to shoot maybe a charging Cape Buffalo or two. But then I realized we have the 300, so I don't know why I would do that. So back to the daylight for some quick final assessments. The 300 AR obviously is the star of the show. It's going to be, I would say almost no doubt, the weapon we use the most on stream here in a little bit. We're going to try some moose grinding, bear grinding, just kind of see how it performs and how big of an upgrade it is over the bolt action. And I think that's going to be the case for pretty much everybody. Of the 3 weapons, it's going to see the most usage. As for the 10 gauge, I was really intrigued by the fact that it didn't take down those Caper Kaylee a little bit more quickly. Might actually get a chance here. At a Hazel Grouse, so why not? We know it's still going to be, typical 10 gauge burst shot. It is more powerful than the 12 gauge and 16 gauge, even the 20 gauge. But I just kind of thought we'd see a little bit better performance. One singular pellet there at 41 meters dropped a Hazel Grouse. And most things, smaller birds, I think it'll be fine. But when it comes to taking a turkey or a Caper Kaylee, clearly, they still can end up flying a little bit of a distance. But it does have fantastic coverage, and being semi-automatic with the 4-round capacity, that is a big deal. I wanted to mention, the ammos are the exact same. Now, you can't interchange them. You got to use the plastic birdshot slugs, buckshot in the new 10 gauge. But if we compare the stats, so like the old brass slugs, 45 penetration, 22 expansion, same for the plastic slugs, and naturally the birdshot, 0-0 on both of those. Finally, the 4570. I don't think it's going to be like the 243 pistol in that it can be basically a replacement for your, say, class 2 to 4 weapon. In this case, obviously your class 4 to 9 weapon. But I do think you'll want something bigger, more powerful, probably with a little bit more range generally. But if you're on a bird hunt, or if you're carrying a bunch of tents, if you don't have much inventory space, it can absolutely get the job done, especially if you find like a potential diameter rare that you want to get down and you don't want to have to spook and track and all that. Just probably not something you would actively choose to hunt with, other than maybe just for fun as a kind of novel item. So, that's my official assessment on the weapons. Like I said, we're going to be streaming here. If you have any questions, feel free to drop by. We'll try to experiment with everything even further. We've got a guide for the black bears coming up this weekend and some additional hunts, so be on the lookout for that as well. On that note, that's going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.